Like, if you're going to be in the era and compare across eras, can I ask you to not forget the history of how the last 12 years happened? Not just that Durant kept stopping at LeBron's doorstep, but that the big three that is a disappointment, LeBron could not get past the big three that was a disappointment in Boston. And so he formed his own big three. And Durant couldn't get through that big three that had been formed as a counter to a big three. So what Durant is playing in is an era of all the teams get together and are the Jordan team. And against that is what he lost. And then when he made his own, you said it was unfair. When he countered with his own super team to losing to the super teams because he thought you'd give him credit for that,
right?
Then you said it was too easy because you don't join a super team, even though you crown LeBron on his super team. You crown Dirk for beating that super team.
Oh, I think it tarnishes LeBron's legacy a little bit that he couldn't win one before he formed a super team. And then he only won two with that super team.
But my point is that's the era they're competing in, and only one can win with the super team, right? Like, that's only one of them can win. And if that's the climate around what we're talking about, if the whole sport changes and the expectation is now either beat a super team or don't join a super team.
Right. I mean, Giannis didn't join a super team. He stayed put in Milwaukee and he won a title. That's how you do it. That's how you get max credit. That's the way it works, Dan. You win one with Chris Middleton.
And by the way, if you're looking at 4 straight finals and 2 championships in 4 years and calling that a disappointment, that's a pretty good definition of harsh. 4 finals in a row and 2 championships. I don't think anybody really thinks the big three was a disappointment because they didn't run the table and win 4 titles in a row.
He said not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8. That hurts him.
I guess,
nobody took him literally.
I guess what I'm asking,
I did.
Okay.
I'm asking the entire crew here, as it relates to the Miami Heat reports that they're not going to give up Bam to get Kevin Durant. What it felt like to me, this has happened a couple of times with the Heat, once famously with Goran Dragic.
The Dragon.
These guys, through their advisors and everywhere else, are told how to make the mess. There is a strategy in Kevin Durant making the world know, Stugotz, because you don't see a lot of this. Me or them, I made it clear in a meeting with the owner, then it immediately gets leaked. Gets leaked to Shams because Durant was willing to take the hit of bleep it. I don't care. Burn it all down. Burn the Nets down and burn down what anybody thinks of me, because at this point I'm maximum troll. And when somebody writes, Stugotz, on Twitter, because Durant lives in this world
of taking hits.
Somebody writes, the car wouldn't start this morning. I get to work late. The internet is down. I love this shit. Unlike KD, I actually enjoy taking the hardest road. It's basically just problem-solving practice. And Kevin Durant's response to him, because he can't leave it alone, because he's been distorted by fighting these people on the internet for 10 years in the day of the modern superstar, eaten up by the acids of the internet. Quote, you enjoy having a shitty car and getting to work and not being able to connect to the internet?
It's the hard path. I mean,
you arguing on behalf of someone else taking the hard path, you getting to be the pioneer and the decider on what is a sufficiently hard path. Can I ask you guys, are you not factoring in at all, Stugotz, that whatever it is you think of Kevin Durant has to be run through the prism of you criticize him for not being able to beat the super team, and then you criticize him for making a better super team than the super teams that were beating him.
No, let's do it this way, Dan. Let's go back to like my original thoughts on Kevin Durant coming out of Texas. I thought he was going to be one of those players. And so
did Dan, even though he wanted Odin over him.
Right. But in large part, it's because of how much respect I have for Kevin Durant's game and his talent. He didn't need to go team up with Steph Curry. He did one title at Oklahoma City would have done more for him than the 2 titles he won in Golden State. Just one.
Okay, so now
it worked for Giannis.
What I was going to say about these teams now that want Kevin Durant, all these shadow personalities that make the decision, how's Durant going to do this? Because it's orchestrated, Stugotz.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody is having a conversation somewhere about how do we get out to the world what just happened in this meeting with the owner, and that we gave him the ultimatum of him or me. We've checkmated the organization, have we not?
Kind of, I guess. Yeah. I mean, Josiah technically doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't.
Okay, but
he's got Kevin Durant under contract.
But do you want this, though? Okay, but what do you think's going to happen? Do you think he wants this in his locker room all season when the guy who's going to be leaking this kind of stuff in an orchestrated campaign? Look, man, this has kept escalating. It's faster than ever on how fast can you get out. Harden, how fast can you get out when you're not happy in a place? How fast can you get out? Can you make it noisier? Can you make it noisier? And then it's leaked.
But here's the problem, Dan, with this situation. Harden didn't choose his coach, the GM. Kevin Durant and Kyrie got there. They chose Steve Nash. First off, Sean Marks is the guy who brought him there, so he's clearly good at his job. Sean Marks got them to go to Brooklyn. Those two could have teamed up and gone anywhere.
Hold on.
They chose Steve Nash. They said they didn't need a coach. Now it's the coach's fault? Get out of here.
He has to be traded now because of this ultimatum. He has to be traded. They have no choice. And Brooklyn's bargaining power just went down because of it.
Stugotz, I think you're misreading this when I tell you it's orchestrated. I thought that this was clear what had happened here. Perhaps I have this wrong. Somebody please correct me if you look at it another way.
Okay.
This isn't an actual ultimatum. It's not actually, it's a checkmate move. He doesn't have to get rid of them. He could just put this out there through Shams. And now you've got a fight on your hands that's public. I don't think he actually means that. I don't think that Durant is saying, do you think he's saying, because I did not read this into it, that Durant is saying, oh, if you get rid of these guys, I'll be perfectly happy here for the next 4 years and resign. That's not how I took that.
I think Kevin Durant would be more willing to fulfill his contract if they got rid of Steve Nash.
But you did hear it that way. Am I wrong on this?
Why else would he do the us or them, me or them?
Because he wants it out. He wants to
also
keep
knows
making
Josiah,
it messy.
Yeah, I guess he assumes that Josiah wouldn't do that.
Well, you can't put your owner in the position after what Kevin Durant has done. It's a bleep you checkmate move by his advisors and him. Like, it's not a flippant thing. It's meant to escalate fires and flames. Get me out of here.
Right.
I just went to the owner and told him to his face, either I'm in charge or you're in charge. Who's it going to be?
It also throws the locker room into a bit of chaos, too, because the best player doesn't have faith in the people guiding this ship. Why should I? It's not a great look for Kevin Durant as he tries to force his way out.
Mike, it's a terrible look for Kevin Durant. What I'm saying to you guys, in torching the end of the legacy of a guy who came into this wanting to be something, back when LeBron was the bad guy because he did a TV show, and Kevin Durant quietly went to Orlando and re-signed with his backpack because he was all about basketball. He kept losing to LeBron. At the end, with whatever's left of his power, Kevin Durant, at the end of what a mess the player empowerment age can make, Kevin Durant is coming for ownership and saying, who's in charge here, you or me? And then leaking it to the press. And then Woj and Stugotz, this is where it's Game of Thrones shit. Shams breaks it at 2 o'clock, and ESPN on a giant story where Kevin Durant has just said me or him. ESPN sits it out for 6 hours, and everybody knows that there are delays around the Marks stuff and Woj, and everyone knows that Woj and Marks are connected. And so what you're getting on ESPN is a different version of the story than the one that's playing out hours earlier in the information age, Stugotz, when we're saying seconds earlier matters. ESPN set this out for 6 hours.
Right.
After it like, when does it ever get to the point of, hey, me or him? And Kevin Durant is flexing here. He's saying, yeah, I've run the shit into the ground, and I still have the power. What are you going to do? I want out of here. Them or me. They're not in charge. Of course it's ugly. He's burning it all down.